Good morning, all you beautiful people. So today, I'm working on on installing my spin dryer out at my new camp because I need to do laundry. First you need to put in your anchors for the spin dryer. To drill the holes in the concrete, I used a Bosch high-speed concrete block and cinder block drill bit, and I put in 2 eye bolts spaced approximately 18 inches apart on the ceiling. Now, you may not be drilling into concrete, you may be drilling into wood or whatever, but you need 2 eye bolts on top and 2 eye bolts on the floor. As you can see, I've got the 2 eye bolts in on the top, and I'm in the process of drilling my holes in the floor. Now, to line up your holes in the floor, you want to hang a rope and line it up and mark your spots. Now, as you can see, I marked 2 spots. One is where the rope dangles, and the other is about 2 inches to the side of it. If you're on the left side, it's to the left side. If you're on the right side, it's to the right side, and that's where my eye bolts are gonna go. I have modified my spin dryer. This is now the foot pedal. As you can see, I have cut a bungee cord in half. I have put it through and tied a knot in the end. It's important when you cut your bungee cord in half to put a zip tie on it beforehand to keep the rubber strands inside from pulling through the sleeve. The holes next to it are the holes where the rope for the spin dryer will go through. The bungee cord hooks into the floor. When the spin dryer spins up, the bungee stretches and pulls it, puts pressure on it, pulling it back down to help keep the whole rig stable. And I'll show you how that's installed once I get the holes drilled in the floor. Alright, we're gonna pause, and through the use of movie magic, I'm going to have the eye bolts installed. See you in a second. Okay, so I figured there would be a little more explanation that I needed to do to show you how I installed the eye bolts into concrete. Okay, these are the concrete anchors that I'm using. They are 3/8 inch concrete anchors. There's a little insert inside that when you thread your eye bolt in, it pushes it in and spreads it. You can only thread to about here. So I am using 3/8 inch, 3 inch by 3 inch eye bolts. That leaves me with that amount of thread when I have the nut on it, and I use the nut to tighten it the opposite direction and lock it in so that the eye bolts don't spin when it's in. Now with these concrete anchors, you drill your hole, drop it in the hole, hammer it in, and then you start to thread your eye bolt. When it starts to get tight, that's when you're pushing against the insert. And since my hands aren't what they used to be with my ataxia and all, I have this giant screwdriver that I found in the dumpster, and I am going to be using it to thread the eye bolt in. Oh. Now, once you got the anchor in and spread, you can, sorry. You can undo your eye bolt to keep you from tripping over the eye bolts in the floor. And now I'm going to drill my other hole, and I'll get back to you with the rest of the design. Okay, so this is my washing machine slash spin dryer. The bucket here is a 5-gallon bucket. I've drilled a bunch of holes all around it in the bottom for water to drain out. I've also bent the handle here into a little loop that holds that D-ring. That loop is right in the center of the handle. To do that, I pulled the handle off, balanced it in the middle, found the middle spot, marked it, and bent around that with a pair of needle nose pliers. The rope harness terminates in D-rings at the top and will be tied to the base bar at the bottom, and that makes it completely removable so that it's out of your way when you're not using it. And I will show you how to set it up. Hold on. Okay, hook the D-rings up here at the top. And you want to measure your height where it's going to be comfortable for you to load and unload the bucket. The D-ring that holds the bucket goes in between the knots here. You can see these two ropes. You want them to be the same length going down to the one in the bucket so the bucket hangs in the center. When you got your height marked out, you can adjust it to adjust your ropes to be even by only tying a half knot up here. Loosen the knot and pull on either rope to make it shorter or longer, or either side of the rope and to make it shorter or longer. Once you have your length for your height, you tie a full knot in there and cut the rope and burn it so there's not extra rope hanging down and it doesn't unravel. Okay, on the base here, okay, let me get the base bar, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to set up my tripod here and give you a good view of how to set up the base plate. Come on, pause. Okay. Alright, so okay, so what we're going to do here is take the ropes and feed them through the holes that we drilled. These holes, I don't know how much of a good view you got here, but these holes here on the inside, they match the eye bolts on the top. So the same width so that the rope spins evenly. So I'm going to feed one rope through here. Okay. And I want it to be it's a bungee cord I found on the road, so it's been run over a couple of times and has managed to bend it. So, okay. Now that I got that opened up, you want to feed both sections or both ends of the ropes through the holes. And you're going to tie a half knot in it loosely so you can adjust the height. You want it to be tensioned so that when it spins down, the rig is still tight enough to keep the bungee cords on. I have not, and all right. You want these ropes to be as even as possible, so loosen the knot. Pull down on the upper rope, pull up on the bottom rope, tighten the knot. Okay, now it looks like I've got a fairly even rig. That looks pretty good. All right, and like I said, you can disconnect it and take it down at any time, and you can undo the floor eye bolts, pop them out so you don't have anything you're gonna trip over on the floor. And I'll give you give you a better view there. Let me go watch it. Okay. I will set up the camera and be right back. Okay, trial run, empty, without a shroud. When you're using it, I recommend covering it with the shroud so you don't get soaked. I have a Mylar bubble wrap bag that I made to go over the top of it. But you can use a trash bag. I recommend putting a couple strips of duct tape or Gorilla Tape over the spot where you're going to thread the rope through. You take your D-rings from the top off, cut a hole wide enough to slide D-rings through, slide it through, and then it goes over the bucket, and you wrap a bungee cord around the bottom to keep the water from leaking out. Periodically you undo the cord, let the water out, and then tighten it back up. You can use a piece of rope or a zip tie, or depends on any way you want to go. Test number one with no weight in it. Obviously it's going to perform better with weight in it, but first you spin it all the way up. Give it a good start to it. And then you push down the foot pedal, spin it, spin it, spin it. And once you get like weight in it, it'll have that flywheel motion that'll keep it going faster. But as you can see, spin dryer works well. Thank you guys for watching. I want to thank my friend Elaine for donating the money so that I could buy the eye bolts and the D-rings and get this project going, the anchors. And I want to thank y'all for watching. And thanks to all my my donors that help me with every project that I do, because I can't do them on my own. This is the only work I do. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're not watching it on YouTube, visit my YouTube channel, Your Homeless Friend Kai. If you're watching this on Facebook, like it, friend me, the usual stuff. I really appreciate you guys allowing me to do stuff like this and make these videos. Yeah, thank you very much, and I'll post something else soon.